Good Monday morning! Today we're going to talk about iterators in JavaScript. Iterators is what the for-of loop uses under the hood to iterate over an array, but the for-of loop is actually capable of iterating over anything. Sets or maps or your own custom objects, as long as they provide an iterator for the for-of loop to use. I am MPJ and you are watching Fun Function.
Nothing of you is your friend. It is your friend.
If you are a regular viewer of this show, you might be impressed by my sexy voice. That is because I have a cold. Well, I don't think it's a cold actually. I'm pretty sure it's sinusitis, and I've been having it more or less since this fall. So I've been having it this fall and this winter. It's my longest bout of being sick ever, and I'm really sick of it. So if you have any tips on dealing with sinusitis, please post them down below. I would really like to know them. Let's cheer ourselves up with some JavaScripting. Why should I care about iterators? Why are they in JavaScript? We're going to explore why it's good to understand iterators. But let's first spend a little time exploring what they are so that we, get a sense of what we're dealing with. Alright, so we have an array here of dragons. There are strings. It's a cool dragon, it's an angry dragon. And then we have this new concept that you might or might have not seen or reflected over, and it's the for-of loop. I would like to draw your attention to these of keyword. It's not each, and it's not anything else. It's of. That's important. It's not in. It's of. That's crucial. By the way, if you're new to this show, it's about me looking at like 8 lines of code and then talking about it for 15 minutes. Welcome to the show. It's hilarious. So this is a loop, you've seen them before. It goes through the dragon's array, and for each dragon it's going to do things inside of this block here. Let me start Quokka so that we can see what this does when executed. Let it Quokka. Quokka. Oh my god, can't spell. Quokka, start on current file. Closing this. Okay, cool. Let me write dragon. Awesome. So you see here that on the first iteration, it's going cool dragon, then angry dragon, then nasty dragon. Quokka is this great little plugin that allows you to inline evaluate JavaScript like this. It's super convenient. You've probably seen me use this before. I use it a lot in Fun Function videos because I think it's a great tool. However, this particular episode is graciously sponsored by Quokka. So, as thanks to Quokka for supporting the show, we're gonna show it off a little bit extra. Maybe look at a few extra features that are cool, but you don't see me normally use in the show. If you want to check Quokka out, you should go to Quokka.funfunfunction.com. That link is also in the episode description. Okay, so how does this actually work? I mean, does the for-of loop know how to iterate arrays? No, that's the great thing. For-of doesn't know anything about arrays. It has no idea what an array is. The only reason why the for-of loop is able to iterate over an array is because the array provides an iterator that tells the for-of loop how to iterate it. Alright, so let's imagine that we are the for-of loop for a little bit. And like how is it that we are accessing this iterator? How do we get it from the array? Let's have a look. La 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 la. This is how it works inside. This is how the for-op loop gets the iterator from the array. It calls the symbol.iterator method on dragons. It calls that, and that gives it an iterator. This makes me feel uncomfortable. What is this? This is scary because it's new. I don't like new things. We should avoid new things. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. Yeah, if you haven't seen symbols before, this is going to look a little bit weird. Symbols is not a new programming language feature. They're very common in other programming languages. You can think of them as basically unique keys. We use them where we would normally have used like a weird unique string to avoid conflict. Yes, that is why symbols are great. If we didn't have symbols here, then JavaScript designers would probably have to invent, something like some weird unique string like iterator, just so that that shouldn't be in conflict with any other like interface on objects. However, with this is completely unique, so we can be completely sure that this doesn't exist on anything else. So I can actually show you what this evaluates to. Let me show you like that. It's symbol. So this is not some weird string or anything. It's actually a completely unique object that you can use as a key or property on objects. And this means we can never have naming conflicts on properties. Really handy. All right, so this is how we get the iterator, but how does the iterator itself behave? The iterator is expected to have a next method on it. Now, as you see here, if I have iterator here, Quokka will evaluate it for me, but if I type next here, it won't evaluate what the return value is. But there is a cool little feature called live comments that you saw me use a couple of seconds ago, and I'm gonna show it again. You go -- and question mark. You could do that, or you could have done that as well. Either way, that makes it evaluate this expression and display it in line. Let's have a look at what this object looks like. So it gives us an object. It's an object, simple object, that has one property called value, and that contains cool dragon. So that's this one, the first item. And then it has one other property named done, which is a boolean. Jumping. Stop jumping. Help. Like mouse pose is having a life of its own today. I have no idea what it is. I have a ghost in my computer. Okay, so here, like, that's false. In itself, I find this a little bit hard to wrap my head around, so I'm just gonna copy this and call iterator next a couple of more times to wrap my head around it. Okay, so we see here that on the first call, it returns a cool dragon, and then returns the angry dragon. It's still not done. It returns a nasty dragon, still not done, and then on the final one it returns the value is undefined, but it is done. Okay. So the way the iterator interface works is that we just call next until we're out of items. So you can say that what we did here manually calling next is what the for of loop does inside of itself, under the hood. So what you see here, this is what the iterator interface looks like. It's an object that array spits out that you can use to iterate the array. It tells the outside world how to iterate itself. All right, that's the what. But what about the why? Let's go back to the why. Why this extra interface? Why all this stuff? Why not just have like for each loop that can loop over arrays. The reason why it's an interface is so that we can iterate over anything with the for of loop. So for instance, we could, for const char of dragons, first dragon, and then what is this char? Check this, like, ooh, you see that? Oh wow! Now we can iterate over the individual characters here. And this is because the string object in JavaScript provides an iterator for the for of loop to use. There's a bunch of other built-in objects in JavaScript that provides this, so sets and maps and stuff, and the DOM node list can do it as well. But the coolest thing is that we can make our own custom objects iterable, like for the for of loop. We can make them our own objects for ofable. Let me show you how to do that. Let's get rid of this old code. We don't care about that. I'm going to write some code that first doesn't have anything to do with iterators at all. It's not going to use iterators. This is just going to be plain code. I'm trying to use an npm module, but that npm module is not installed. Quokka to the rescue. I can just go Quokka. Install missing package only for Quokka file. Blah, 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 blah. Green.
Let's try it out. I only want it to be a minimum of 0. I want it to be a max array. 10.
Generate some nice random numbers for us here. Excellent.
Where is MPJ going with this? Nobody knows.
Let's create a function. He creates a function. And that is, what is it? The function is called random item. He takes an array. Creates a random index. Array dot length. -1. Return array. Random index. Index. Cool, so this picks out a random item from array. Let's try that out actually. Random item, and then A, B, C. Yes, that worked.
B, C, C, A, B, C, C. It seems to work.
Now I want to create a new function called make dragon. So as you see here, I've created a function called makeDragon that creates a random dragon string. It's a tiny fire dragon sometimes, or it's a tiny lightning dragon, or it's a tiny ice dragon, or it's a medium ice dragon, or it's a blue big lightning dragon. The random item function here, it seems to me like a good candidate for extraction. It's mostly, it's not related to the problem at hand here. We can understand from its name what it does. Feels like we could move it out to another file to keep it from distracting us, because we have a very little screen real estate here. Yeah. You see here that I'm getting an error here, cannot find module random number, even though we previously used Quokka to install for current file. And you might remember that I used Quokka to install only on the current file. So when we're requiring like this won't work. But we can actually use Quokka to, Quokka install missing package into project, and it does, and then it's green. So you see here, like, it installed it into the package.json dependencies. Very handy. Cool, things still seem to work after our extraction. I can close the sidebar and I can close random item. You know what? I am in an extracting mood. Let's get make dragon out of here as well.
Nice. Still works. Extracted. Bleh, 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 bleh.
By the way, being able to require in project files like this, that's a Quokka Pro feature. NPM modules, that's a free feature, you can use them any way you like, but requiring multiple files in a project, that's a pro feature. By the way, Quokka will not only monitor this file, it will also monitor the external file. So let me actually show, if I open up the make dragon here, open to the side, and I go into this and I go add a time ability and I save, that will actually update, figure out that this is dependent on that, and then update Iterator's fun live. Like Quokka is really, really good at making sure that you always have that immediate feedback. Okay, let's finally implement that iterator that I was talking about. I'm going to create a dragon army object, which provides an iterator, which just provides a bunch of dragons and then randomly ends. Because, you know, that's dragon armies for you. They're fickle. You don't know how many dragons are gonna show up.
And there we go.
So this is the actual implementation of an iterator. This is equivalent to the array iterator that we saw before. It's just that we created this one ourselves. So it's a dragon army. This is not an iterator itself, but it provides like an Iterator Factory here. So this is a property here, like that uses the symbol iterator as its name, and then it provides this function here, which is supposed to, according to the interface, to return an object which contains a single property that is a function called the single property called next, which is a function, and that function will return an object which has a value, which is like the iterated value, and then it provides a boolean that says whether or not we're done iterating or not, whether the iteration has ended. So as you see here, we get like a tiny time dragon, a tiny lightning dragon, a medium lightning dragon, and the way this works is that it checks if enough dragons has been spawned, which is just a random thing. And if not enough dragons has been spawned, it returns an object and calls make dragon as its value. Otherwise, it just returns an object without value, where done is true. And that tells the for of loop that we're out of dragons. So you see, if I just press space here, triggering Quokka to reevaluate, you see that sometimes it's just 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 0, actually. Sometimes it's a lot of them. Well, you get it. So as you can see here, you can play around quite a bit with an iterator. An iterator doesn't have to conform to this idea of like that an array or a set there where there's a limited amount of items that you iterate over. It can just be this thing that generates things randomly, for instance, like this one. You can basically create your own iterable collections that behave any way you goddamn please. And we are actually just scratching the surface here, because iterators can also be asynchronous. What? Which could allow us to have iterators that gradually fetch data from an API, for instance, on each loop. Pretty cool. You might also have heard or seen generators in JavaScript. And here's the cool part. Generators is actually just a thin syntactic sugar over what we have been doing here today. You heard that right. Generators is just a syntax sugar to create iterators. So iterators, they're this very simple building block, but they have huge implications. If you're interested in knowing more about, async iteration and generators, We might make some episodes on that too, because that would be really cool. Let me know in the comments if you're interested. But that is Iterators. If something about this video confused you, that's great, it means you're learning. Ask any question you have down below or on the Fun forum if you're a patron. I or one of your fellow viewers will try to answer your question. Thank you so much to Quokka for supporting the show. If you're interested in trying Quokka, you should go to Quokka.funfunfunction.com. That link is also in the episode description. The basic version of Quokka is free. The pro version is just $50, I think, but you should never pay for your own software tooling. Your employer will almost always pay for your software tooling if you ask them, because you as a software engineer is very expensive, so anything that makes you even slightly more productive will be massively economically beneficial to them to buy. Again, Quokka.funfunfunction.com. Check them out. You have just watched an episode of Fun Function. I release these every Monday morning, 0800 GMT. If you are forgetful, you can subscribe here so that you don't miss it, or watch another episode right now by clicking here. I am MPJ. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.